diffuse. Trade fights for better views. We both need something new. Maybe we should just tell them. I shouldn't think I is so good. So long to rendezvous.
Hello, hive-minded readers, and welcome to the Books and the Bees podcast. Just like bees play a crucial role in pollinating flowers and sustaining life, books pollinate minds and nurture the soul. We see a connection between the two, the delicate dance of ideas and stories that enrich our lives.
I'm Hailey.
I'm Cody.
Welcome to our podcast.
Hello, Hailey.
Hello.
Do you know what today is?
No.
It is March 13th. Hello, happy March 13th.
It is March 13th. Hey, it's almost St. Patrick's Day. Let's go.
Yeah, St. Patty's Day. Are you doing anything?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but I'm gonna
break.
You're gonna what?
I'm gonna break two rules. I'm going to eat red meat because I love corned beef. It's one of my delectable things. So usually at St. Patty's is when I break my no beef rule, and I just have to like suffer through the consequences. So I'm gonna do that, and I'll let you know how that goes. It's probably gonna be terrible. I usually, this might be too much information. I usually pregame with some Miralax.
Hell yeah. The pregame of people over 30.
Yeah.
Throw in some Pepto-Bismol,
Yeah.
some Alka-Seltzers.
Yeah. So
Rolling.
I usually do that. And I'm going to buy a 6-pack of Guinness, and I'm going to, I'm going to cook the corned beef with the Guinness because it's delicious. 2, I'm going to drink a Guinness because I do enjoy a Guinness. And then 3, I'm going to cook with Guinness again by making a Guinness chocolate cake, which I'm super stoked about because I love chocolate cake and I love Guinness. So
That sounds delightful.
And I don't want to drink a full 6-pack of Guinness because as much as I enjoy Guinness, I'm trying not to drink, and I don't really want to have 6 of them. So
I don't think anyone plans to have 6 Guinness. I think they just end up having it.
No. It's not as good from the can, though. I am that kind of person who, like, I've had Guinness from draft from people who have, like, there's like a training thing where you get like a badge, you get certified to pour Guinness. And when those people do it, it is 10 times better than any other way to drink it. So,
I recently learned about splitting the G.
Got to split the G.
Do you split the G?
I try. Yeah, I try. I don't think I did it right the last time because the other thing is that I have sensitive teeth. And so cold beer and sensitive teeth don't usually go well. And so I usually have to stop before because my teeth hurt.
I just imagine you like drinking it through a straw.
Yeah, I've considered it, honestly, but I think I'd probably get shot.
Banned immediately.
Yeah, but if you don't know what split the G is, look it up. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I really missed the opportunity when we were living in Illinois to celebrate St. Patrick's Day in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
But
I bet that'd be so much fun.
It would be fun, but also like the thought of being around a bunch of rowdy drunk people, not my favorite. Not my favorite at all. It wasn't my favorite in college. Wasn't my favorite in high school. Wasn't my favorite as an adult. So.
Yep, that's true. That is the downside.
Yeah, I will wear green.
Definitely
though.
more of the food.
Yeah, food.
Sweet. I have a shirt that I've had for years that says "Kiss my Blarney Stone," and I usually wear that on St. Patty's Day. So
I love that. We had, I think it was a St. Patrick's Day themed like rave because I'm a raver. So, like, I don't know if I've ever actually talked about this on the podcast, but I go to raves and festivals and shit. And we went to, I think it was called, I want to say the like rave was called Lucky. And my husband and I wore matching t-shirts that said Pogue Mahone, which is kiss my ass in, I don't know, Irish ?
yeah.
And and it was pretty great. So we wore those, and then I wore like a little headband with. I'll have to find the picture and send it to you.
That's cute.
Yeah. But yeah, that's.
What was I going to ask? Have you guys done the raves where it's a silent rave where everybody wears like headphones.
We've been to raves where that's a thing, or like festivals where that's a thing.
Okay.
We've been to them all. We've been to the like, I've been to 3-day festivals. We went to Paradiso, which is like the Disneyland of raving. It's in Las Vegas, and it's on the Las Vegas Speedway, and it's like
Interesting.
some ungodly amount of people, and there's like, I think there's 3 big main stages, but then there's like other stages throughout that are not as big. And then there's a place called the Gorge in Washington, and
I know of the Gorge.
fun fact, my grandpa helped build the Gorge, like the
You told me this
amphitheater.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember you telling me
which
this
is
before.
like
Yeah.
super cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
He's in like the documentary, like his crew, the crew that he was on. Anyways, and they have, it used to be called Paradiso. We used to have this rave called Paradiso. Wait, did I call it Paradiso or did I call it EDC?
You called it Paradiso.
Okay, it wasn't
which I feel
Paradiso.
like you just
It was
brought up.
EDC. It's called EDC, Electric Dizzy Carnival. I'm silly. We used to go to a rave called Paradiso. But anyways, we've been to them all.
Wow.
We've been to, now we go to like, there's one called Beyond Wonderland and Base Canyon. And then there's also ones at like the Tacoma Dome and the WAMU in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Been to ones in Oregon where it was just like at a like nightclub thing. That was cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never been to a rave.
They're fun.
Yeah. I'm sure
Really
they're
fun.
fun. I don't think it's my particular vibe, but I'm sure they're fun.
Yeah. They're a fun time. I think the people that you bring with you really make or break the time that you're gonna have. Like we recently bought, they're called air couches.
I've seen these. They look
Yeah.
like hot dog buns.
Yes.
You like have to run to
Yes.
fill up. Yes.
Yeah.
I've actually heard these are great reading chairs.
They're super comfy, but
Oh,
the
okay.
trick is you don't have to run with them. You get a fan, like a hand fan, like a clack clack fan,
Smart.
and then you like fan the air into the opening
smart.
of the thing, the air couch.
But it's so funny to see people running with those things trying to inflate them that I enjoy that aspect of it.
It's like the best thing ever. Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually seen people use it back where I used to live. There's a river that runs through the city,
Yeah.
and people would take them down there, and they would inflate them up, and they would read on them. And it was such a
Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah,
I
they're
never bought
comfy.
one. I'm a hammocker type of guy, but
That's fair. Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of which, we have beautiful weather this week in Virginia.
Oh, shit.
And I am like pining to get outdoors and to work on like a garden and to spend time outside. So here
Hell
pretty
yeah.
soon it'll be time for me to start hammocking.
What do you garden?
I have not officially gardened before, but I'm going to do a vegetable garden.
Let's go.
I've done what's the thing like with the water inside the house where you like have a thing of water? Hydroponics.
Yes,
Hydroponics. I've
that.
done hydroponics for herbs like
Herbs.
before herb. I did thyme and sage,
Ooh.
which
good
was
ones.
great because I use them a lot and I kind of miss having it. But since we moved, I haven't restarted it. But I'm going to get a bed for that. So I'm going to have like sage, thyme, rosemary, probably basil, and something else like cilantro or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And then we'll do a tomato, cucumber situation, maybe some like lemon cucumbers, which I love. And you don't get them at the store very often. And then probably have a flower garden because one of ours is on like the outside of our back fence on the side of the property. And I don't really trust my neighbors enough to not steal from my bed if it's there. So we'll probably put flowers there so that people don't take this stuff. But yeah.
That's fair.
So I'm excited. I'm real excited.
That sounds fun. I love a good garden.
Yeah. And I want to get a bird feeder so I have
yeah.
birds feeding. We actually get a lot of birds in our backyard already, but I want to feed them. So
Hell yeah.
I'm so excited.
What a fun time.
Yeah, it's spring. Spring's upon us.
It is.
Yeah. Do you know what else is upon us?
What?
The time we talk about what we're reading.
Good one.
Do you want to talk about what we're reading? Because I have
Hell
to
yeah.
remember what I'm reading, so you can go first.
We're so prepared.
Super prepared.
We're the most prepared all the time.
The most.
I am in... Fun fact, I'm currently using my Kindle as a bookmark because I can't find my bookmarks.
That's savage. I love that. A book is a bookmark is intense.
It's like bookception.
Yeah. Oh, you're reading the Tessa Bailey. Yeah, I see it.
I'm reading Dreamgirl Drama. I grabbed the book to see how far in I am because I couldn't remember. I am 87 pages in. It's not a super large book. It's 300 pages in total, minus the epilogue, I guess. So far, it's like really good. I started it maybe a couple nights ago. No, because I didn't start last night. I started it the night before. I mean, in one night, I got 87 pages. Excuse me. So, I'm pretty proud of myself. Yeah, I was speed reading. So far, it's like really good. That sounded so vague. Good job, Hailey. No, but how do I describe this? I feel like I told you how like what it was like, and I can't remember what the verbiage that I used was, but it was really like a really good summary of like how it's been so far. Oh, okay, I remember. It's like slow burn. It's like a fast-paced slow burn. Because like the two main characters are introduced to each other in the very, very beginning of the book. And literally I'm 87 pages in and they still are like it's like very forbidden love situation. Because like, okay, the premise of this book, and I guess spoilers kind of, but like not really, because like if you read what this book is about, then like you're gonna know. But the two main characters, their parents, so they each have like obviously they're a parent, but their parents are getting married. So they're going to be like siblings. So it's very like taboo, but not in like a weird, it's not weird, because I feel like sometimes this trope has like the potential to be really weird, but so far it hasn't been like cringe or gross or anything. But it's like very hot and cold, very like they get hot and bothered for each other, and then they're like, no, but we can't because what if our parents find out, or like what if, or like they're getting married in like this much time, like we can't, it would be wrong. And they're like, but it would also be right, but it'd be wrong. it's literally like the whole 87 pages that I read so far, and I'm like just getting to the juicy part where like
nice,
it seems like they kind of want to be like, fuck it, like screw the rules, let's just like get together and like be together. But yeah,
can you put it on the honey scale yet, or have you not
kinda right now? It's, listen, the talk that happens about what they want to do is very honey frenzy.
Oh, but
the actual like anything on the page that's been like no real action has happened, if you know what I mean.
Okay, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
so like,
but it's explicit in the terminology that they're using.
Yeah, like, and they like talk to each other like that. You're like, whoa.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's very like hot and heavy, but in the most like hands-off way.
I love it.
It's great.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of it. Hearing about the rest of it. Yeah.
What are you reading, Cody?
Well, I mentioned it last week, so I want to give an update. I am, I think, just a smidge over halfway through Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. It's everything I wanted it to be and more. I am obsessed with this book. It is amazing. And if you don't remember the premise, it is a horror historical fiction where the book actually is a book within a book. So the first chapter is about this kind of English professor type person who finds a journal that turns out to be her great-great-grandfather's from 1912. And her great-great-grandfather was a preacher in this small town in Montana who was being told a story by this indigenous person who tells the preacher that he's a vampire.
Wow.
And so the narration of the story is you're reading this person's journal. His name's Arthur. And within that journal, he's recounting the story of the indigenous person. And this person is coming to the church every Sunday and sort of doing like a confession style story. And so every chapter, it kind of switches back and forth. Like one chapter will be Arthur's perspective as a preacher. And the next will be the indigenous person telling the story of how they became a vampire. But in 1912, things are happening that seem familiar to what the vampire is saying. So it carries on from there. And of course, I won't do more than that. That's basically what the back of the book says. So not a lot of spoilers there. But it's really good. It comes out on the day this podcast is released, March 18th. So if you want to, go get it, I would recommend it. It's amazing. The cover's beautiful. Stephen Graham Jones deserves all of our money, so we should give it to him and go buy the book because it's great and I love it.
Yes.
Might be my favorite one of his, which is saying a lot because I really, really loved I Was a Teenage Slasher, which came out last year that was in my top 10. So this one is probably going to be in my top 10, but it might be my favorite Stephen Graham Jones, honestly. So I'm a sucker for preacher perspective, I think. Like, I'm not a religious person, but I grew up around religion, and I really enjoy it when a preacher is like tested. You know what I'm saying? Like, Stephen King does this a lot with like Salem's Lot. Like, this is giving me Salem's Lot, Stephen King vibes. Okay. And I'm really liking it. So I'm just super, super into the book right now.
Wow. It sounds really good. Like, the whole premise of it sounds really
it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting. The other book I'm reading is actually because of Women's History Month. I wanted to take a break because I've been reading the Dungeon Crawler Carl series like you wouldn't believe. Been talking about it for a while now. And I've only got 2 books left in that series, so I wanted to take a little bit of a break to make them last longer. And I decided to listen to The Daughter of Daring, The Trick Riding, Train Leaping, Road Racing Life of Helen Gibson, written by Mallory O'Meara, who is one of the co-hosts of the Reading Glasses podcast, which I'm a big fan of. Hailey's a fan of too. I love Mallory O'Meara's books. I've actually read all of her books so far. Well, that's not true. She had a book that was about, it was like a middle grade book about becoming a female movie person, which didn't really seem super appealing to me, but I'm sure it's great for the right
audience.
Metric. Yeah, right audience. But I'm not a middle school girl, so I didn't read the book.
I'm not in middle school or a girl, so maybe not.
But I'm actually talking about Mallory later on in this episode, so I don't want to belittle that point yet. But
that's fair enough.
This book is really good. I didn't think I was going to love it because I'm not a big movie buff person. Like, movies aren't my thing. I'm more of a TV kind of guy. But I will say Mallory has made this really interesting. The book revolves around Helen Gibson, who was, by all accounts, one of the first stunt women. And it kind of circles around movies in the early 1910s and in Los Angeles in the 1910s. And really what I'm learning is that early movies were predominantly women. There were a huge amount of women actors. There were a huge amount of women directors. In fact, the first feature film director was a woman. There wasn't a first man and then a first woman. It was the first woman. She was the first ever feature length director of a movie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it was a very pro-feminist. There were a lot of pro-feminist movies, like pro-abortion, pro-women rights, pro all this stuff.
Hell yeah.
And Helen Gibson was in this mix. Yeah, it was great. And of course, that's not the way it is now. Now it's pretty terrible, and women are treated like shit.
Dominated.
Yeah. Women are treated like shit in the movie industry now. So I'm really enjoying this perspective because it's not something I knew anything about. And Mallory does a great job. She narrates the book, and she's just got a good voice, and I love her writing style. So it's really good. I'd recommend the audiobook if you can get it. But yeah, it's a fantastic read, and I'm looking forward to finishing it. I'm actually, even though I started it like 2 days ago, I'm already halfway through it.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm really digging it.
I'm just inhaling that book.
Yeah, I know. It's so good. It's so
Hell
good.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We did it.
All right, we're done. No.
That's the podcast. Wrap it up.
Well, with that, we hope you know.
Yeah. Love that. I have a little bit of beekeeping. Hailey, you don't have beekeeping, right? We talked about it. Okay. No beekeeping from Hailey, except that she's reading her book with her pretty cover, or her pretty sprayed edge, which is really nice.
It is. I almost didn't want to read it, to be honest. Like, I didn't want to, like, open it. I wanted to just, like, buy another one just to, like, preserve the... But...
Do you know that... So R.F. Kuang has a new book coming out. She's one of my favorite authors. We'll talk about her in a second, too. But she's coming out with a new book called Catabasis, I think is how you pronounce it. And I believe it's going to have a sprayed edge. So that's the book I'm going to buy for our Buy a Cool Book.
Let's go.
Because I love R.F. Kuang, and to have a sprayed edge book by her would be amazing. So I'm really looking forward to that book. I can't wait. I actually asked for an arc of that book too, so hopefully I get it because I just want to read it so bad.
That'd be cool.
And I just got approved for this new arc, and I started the first chapter so I can talk about it because the book also comes out on March 18th, and it is called The Martian Contingency by Robinette Kowal, who is one of my favorite authors who I haven't had a chance to talk about recently because she has taken, I wouldn't say a hiatus, but she's been writing a bunch of other stuff and hasn't really done the main series she's known for. But it is the fourth book in the Lady Astronaut series, which, if you don't know, the first book is called The Calculating Stars, and it is about like 1952 Earth, which, if you can imagine what it was like in 1952 to be a woman, it was different.
Not great.
And yeah, not great, especially in the engineering space, space world. And the book revolves around a character who's a female physicist. Her husband's also a physicist, and they're working for some sort of spacious agency. And it turns out an asteroid hits Earth and forces the space race to speed up and to force NASA to basically send people to colonize Mars.
Oh, shit.
So that the human race doesn't die. It's a really great series. It's actually based originally off a short story. Yeah, short story that she wrote several years ago. Now there's 4 complete books. This is the newest one, and I won't get too much into the spoiler part of it because obviously it's a series, but I really love this. It's like Hidden Figures, but fiction. So if you liked Hidden Figures back when that came out, I think you'll really like this book. I've been very much anticipating this latest release. The last one came out in 2020, so it's been quite a while. And I'm really excited to dive into it. The first chapter was good. Big fan of her writing, so not surprised. But yeah, this book also comes out on March 18th, so go ahead and just buy the whole series. Buy all 4. Why not? I'm not your tax accountant. I'm not your financial advisor.
Yeah,
do
spend
whatever
your
you
money.
Want. Yeah, we're all gonna die anyways.
Yeah,
So you
exactly.
might as well
Just
spend it on
your
what
money.
you want.
Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? Money's fake anyways. Like, money's not even
It's all
real
made up.
anymore.
It's all made up.
It's just numbers in a system,
Yeah, it's not real.
Yeah, just go out and buy a car, buy 4 books. Close your retirement account. Do
Pull
all
out
that
all your
don't
money.
Don't do any of that. Actually, just maybe buy the books, but don't do anything else.
At least buy the books.
At least buy the books. Yeah, and tell them we sent you.
Go to your local bookstore. Tell them that both Hailey and Cody sent you.
Yes.
And while you're there, tell them about Books with the Beast podcast now.
Yes. Free advertisement, please. In fact, take a pen, write in every book that you see, Books and Beast podcast, and write our Spotify link so that people know.
Don't do that. Don't do that. You'll
It
get.
doesn't even matter what the book is. Just literally grab any book that's right next to the door and just start writing. That would be
And when
really
you're
funny.
getting kicked out of every bookstore in wherever you live,
Yeah.
you can't blame
Also,
us.
yeah, you can't. You cannot blame us. This is your doing. This is your fault.
Oh my
yeah.
god. Okay.
So yeah, that's my beekeeping. Not a lot. It's kind of quiet in the book news. I feel like everyone's just getting ready for spring, and
Yeah.
some new books are coming out, but not a whole lot of bookish content, I would say.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, that's okay. We're fine with that.
We're out here.
Yeah, I love it. Well, should we jump in today's main event?
Yeah, let's.
Yeah. So this month of March, is Women's History Month, which we talked about last week a little bit, and I mentioned at the top of the episode. So happy Women's History Month to all the women listeners. Happy Women's History Month, Hailey.
Thank you.
We love it because women are currently being very poorly treated, at least in America, and I'm certain in other countries too. But so we want to uplift the women authors that we love. So Hailey and I have a little bit of a review from last year, and we also have some new authors for this year that we'd like to talk about. Hailey, do you want to start with the authors you mentioned last year real quick?
Yeah. So the authors that I highlighted last year were Allie Hazelwood, PC Cast, and Chloe Liese. I think I've talked about both Allie Hazelwood and Chloe Liese like quite a bit on the podcast, and a little bit for PC Cast. PC Cast, if you don't know, is she was part of my like OG vampire fantasy girl awakening. And actually I think she just got like signed for a TV series or something for the Marked series that she made, which like I'm sure if I read it as an adult, it would be problematic in today's world. But as a teenager reading them in the early 2000s, I thought that they were pure
so
gold.
popular.
So
They were so popular.
I like wanted to get like a freaking moon tattoo and everything. Like I was like, I was there. So
I love that.
yeah. Yeah. But yeah, those are my previous authors, the highlight for them.
Awesome.
Yeah. What were your previous authors?
For me, I've talked about one already today. Rebecca F. Kuang, or R.F. Kuang, as her books are noted. She is an amazing author. She has the Poppy Wars trilogy, which was really popular on TikTok, and Babel, which was also really popular, and then Yellowface, which is her most recent book, that all have been really huge successes. I have loved every single book I've read by her. She is fantastic. She's actually a PhD student. I believe she's at Columbia.
Let's go.
So the fact that she's a PhD student and publishing best-selling books is amazing.
Yeah.
Because I know what it's like to be a PhD student, and it's pretty terrible. So good for her for doing all that stuff.
She said, I'm going to make my money first, and then I'm going to go finish school.
Yeah. And her latest book comes out in August. It's called Catabasis, and it is about grad students, like, kind of going to hell. So I'm totally going to relate to this book. I honestly cannot wait to read it. I think it's going to be amazing, and I'm going to totally connect with it. So I literally cannot wait to read this book. I'm so excited. I keep seeing people getting physical arcs, and I'm super jealous because I just want to read it so bad. So I'm really excited. The next one is Becky Chambers, who I also love. She is a fantastic sci-fi author. She has written A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which is a fantastic series. There's 4 of those. She's also written A Psalm for the Wild Built, which is about robots and humans kind of interacting with each other after being separated, where this person owns a tea cart and he travels around and talks with people. Basically, it's very cozy, it's very cute. There's 2 novellas in that series, and I don't know if she has any new work coming out, but she is a very good author, and I would highly recommend looking at any of her books. And then the last is Juno Dawson, who I've talked about on this podcast pretty extensively. She is amazing. I really love her nonfiction book. This book is gay. It's a very good introductory book into gay culture, and is something that I would recommend for people who are maybe wanting to educate the older individuals in their life who are interested in being supportive but don't really know the context or how to start with things like that. It's a really, really helpful book for that content, or just for finding yourself, like finding out for yourself if you identify with the LGBTQIA community. It's a great book. And she also wrote the Her Majesty's Royal Coven series, which now has 3 books. The last one's called Queen Bee. Very good. I loved them. I've reviewed them before on the podcast, so I won't spend a lot of time, but they are amazing, and the covers are beautiful for those books. So just for that reason, you should all go buy them.
Yeah. Go buy them.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's for 2024. Now, if you have a calendar near you, you should look at it because it says 2025 now. So we are going to give an updated list. Not that we don't still love the authors from 2024.
Yeah.
But, there's plenty of women authors out there, so we can support more than just 3. And we have 3 more for us that we would like to honor this year. So, Hailey, do you want to start with your first one for 2025?
Yeah. So my first one is Alexa Martin. I've talked about her pretty extensively in our some previous episodes. She is, I think, like, she's one of my maybe top 5 favorite authors. Since I got back into reading, she has a really good what's the word, like, sports romance series. It's football. She has a few other books. Let me pull her up real quick so I don't butcher the what's that word? Her repertoire of books. I don't know what that's called. Yeah, her like, I don't know. Words are escaping me today.
Backlog?
You can't tell. Yeah, no, not backlog. Maybe backlog is the right
Bibliography?
word. Sure. Yeah.
Works cited? I don't know.
Her works, her list of works,
Yes, there you go.
She does have a few other books that I actually haven't read yet, but she has a book called Mom, Jeans, and Other Mistakes. She has a book called How to Sell a Romance, Better Than Fiction, and those are just some of the books that I haven't read. The books that I have read are it's a book called Next Door Nemesis. Really good book. Highly recommend it.
That book is good, actually.
Super duper highly recommend it.
You must have told me about it now that I think about it.
Probably.
Yeah.
It is. I've seen it out in the wild, so totally go to like your local bookstore and like go grab it, or Barnes and Noble or wherever. And then she has the playbook series, which if I remember correctly, Alexa Martin, her husband used to be like a pro football player. So there's like a lot of what I see as like insider, not information, but like some insider insight into that world, from like the woman's perspective, like the, fiance of, girlfriend of, wife of, in that, realm, I guess. 'Cause I feel like we don't really pay attention to like the women of the like pro football players or even like pro athletes. Yeah. We're very much involved with like what they're doing, but not like what their wives are doing or their girlfriends or their whatevers. So, anyways, so the playbook series also really good. I've read 3 out of 4 of the books. And I think there's only currently 4 books in the series. All really good. All like different perspectives of these women that are like intertwined. Their stories are intertwined. But yeah, highly recommend. Her writing is like fantastic. It literally feels like you're sitting down. Like the way that it feels when I'm reading her books is that like I'm sitting down and she's like telling me about like what's happening, like all the drama, all the tea, all the all the haps. That's what it feels like. And like to a certain extent, there's a little bit of me that when I am reading the books, it almost feels like I'm watching like Real Housewives, kind of. That's, I don't know, but that's like a very guilty like pleasure series of mine is Real Housewives. All of them, but some of them I like better than others. But anyways, So yeah, if you do see any of Alexa Martin's books out in the wild, definitely highly recommend, especially if you're a sports romance lover. If you really like contemporary romance kind of style writing, highly recommend.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah. That's my first one.
That's a good one. It's a very good one. I love it.
What's your first one?
My first one, I'm actually going to continue the conversation with Mallory O'Meara, since I just talked about her newest book, Daughter of Daring, which I'd recommend. It's very good. She has written 2 other main nonfiction books. The first book is called The Lady from the Black Lagoon, which is about Millicent Patrick, who was actually the costume designer for the Creature from the Black Lagoon, that very like old, I think it's like 1950s-ish horror movie. And Mallory kind of, she talks about her life, Millicent Patrick's life, and also Mallory's life growing up. So it's sort of half memoir, half history. It's a very good book. It did really well, and I think it just showcases how good Mallory is at conveying a story. Millicent Patrick was one of the first costume designers, and she really didn't get any credit for all of the hard work. She did so many different things in her career outside of Creature from the Black Lagoon. And it was really interesting to hear about her aspect as well. And Mallory has experience working in the film industry. She was a film, I think, producer of some sort. I'm not very well versed in the film universe, so I don't really know what the roles are, but she was a producer for a long time before she switched to being a full-time author podcaster. And so she's very well versed in the film industry, and she has a very interesting way of telling stories. Her second book is called Girly Drinks, which is about the history of women in drinking culture. And it really kind of showcases why people were drinking in the first place, but it really emphasizes the women in the world and how they do like to drink. They like to have really fun drinks and really serious drinks. And women were very instrumental in developing the modern drinking culture that we have today. And women were very motivational in developing beer and things along this line. Maker's Mark is a fully owned women inspired whiskey. And so it was a really interesting book too. As somebody who enjoys, now that I don't drink as much anymore, but I used to enjoy a nice alcoholic beverage. It was really fun learning about the role women played in the history of drinking. And so that's a great book too. She has another book that is the middle grade film, You Want to Be a Film Star book that I haven't read. And then her newest book is Daughter of Daring, which I'm currently into now. It's really, really good, and I would highly recommend it. So go check out her stuff. She's great. She also is the co-host of Reading Glasses, which is a podcast that I've talked about a lot. I listen to it every week. I actually listened to it today, this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Mallory and Bria Grant both do that, and they're both very amazing, pro-feminist, fantastic podcasters. So I would go check out their podcast as well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Hailey, do you want to talk about your next woman author?
So my next one is Laura, and forgive me for probably butchering the last name, but Laura Thalassa,
Thalassa. Right.
I don't know.
It's one of those.
It's got to be one. I'm
trying.
Be one. I'm trying here. But yeah, so she's a fairly recent find of mine. And in total honesty, I've literally only read one of her books, but the one that I did read was freaking amazing. I do currently own 5 of her books because I bought if you've been listening to the podcast, I talked about her series, The Four Horsemen.
Yep.
Which is kind of an interesting take on the end of the world and romance, but with the 4 horsemen of death and famine and war and pestilence, I think, are the 4 horsemen.
Sounds right.
But each of her books obviously is named after each one, and I read the first one and then immediately bought the other 3 in the series. And then I saw that she has like a bunch of other books, but she has a book called Rhapsodic, which is a part of the series called The Bargainer. And I bought it with every intention to read it. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But it sounds really good, and she's got like a ton of books, like seriously just like a bunch. And from like what I can tell, she writes I want to call it fantasy, but like I wouldn't call the Four Horsemen fantasy necessarily. I don't know what that'd be categorized.
Mythology, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah,
it is a little bit of a weird label. Yeah,
it is a weird.
Yeah, I would say mythology. I think is a good.
Okay.
Because fantasy. You're right. I don't think fantasy is the correct term for that. But
yeah. But yeah, so that's I highly recommend her books. She does a really good job at making the characters pretty relatable, even though that they are like mythical kind of, and they're really well paced. At least the one that I read was really well paced. So yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Hell yeah. What's your next one?
My next one shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, I don't think, but I haven't really talked about her in an official capacity. I don't believe so. I wanted to take the time to bring it up. But Octavia Butler is an author who I've discovered in the last 5 years. Well, technically, I read the first book I read by her was actually called Kindred, and I read that when I was in high school, and I really loved it. It's about a girl. She's a black woman, and she ends up getting transported back in time to slavery.
Oh, shit.
And has to kind of deal with the repercussions of that. It's been a while since I read the book, so I should probably give it a reread, but I loved it. I actually loved the book. But I didn't know who Octavia Butler was at that time, and I did look her up to like follow up in her reading. So I didn't read another book again by her until I read Parable of the Sower back in 2020. Right when the pandemic was starting. Ugh. And yeah, it was a crazy time to read that book too, because it's basically an apocalyptic book. But that book really struck with me. It was very eerie how accurate Octavia Butler was with that particular time frame, and the way she describes things feel like things she's predicting are coming true nowadays. Yeah. And we've talked about this before for sure. So Parable of the Sower is what kind of brought me into her. And then I read the Dawn trilogy, which is officially called Lilith's Brood, but the first book is Dawn. And that trilogy is just amazing. I have loved everything about it. It is about a girl who Earth has been completely destroyed, and this alien race basically collects humans and kind of turns them into a living zoo, I guess, where they modify them so that they can survive better. And then they take them back down on Earth with some things they've saved and some things that they've changed and some things that they put down brand new. So they basically tried to repopulate the Earth with modifying it. Nope. It's very futuristic. It's super interesting. And the trilogy follows Dawn is the main character in the first book, and then it follows her basically lineage in the next two. And I was completely blown away by the series, and I actually do want to reread that very soon. So Octavia Butler has become one of my favorite authors. She's got a pretty extensive collection of books that I haven't read yet, including the Wild Seed series, which I think is about 5 books. And then there's a couple other singular books that I haven't read yet, but really, really good author. And unfortunately she passed, I think, back in 2006. So she's obviously not still writing, but her work is still very important in today's culture. And I want to learn more about her. So really, really looking forward to reading more of her work.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. One of the first black sci-fi authors too. Wow. She was writing back in the 80s,
Wow.
And that was not very common for a Black woman to be writing sci-fi back then. So
Yeah. I didn't
she's a
realize
pioneer.
I didn't realize that she was like older, I guess. When I like first was
She
like
did
hearing
pass.
about
She
her.
passed away kind of young.
Okay.
I think she passed away in her 50s.
Oh yeah, that is young.
So yeah, but she was an amazing author.
Wow. Yeah, but seeing her stuff now, it's like all, especially like cause I've seen, for some reason, like I've been seeing her mostly on TikTok, or like being brought up and talked about her books on TikTok, and I don't know if it'd actually even be considered book talk because it's like not in my normal like book talk like realm feed, but her type of her things with her stuff being talked about does get brought up every once in a while, and when they're talking about specifically during the California wildfires, I was like, oh my god, that is crazy. But yeah, they definitely sound like they're very...
She was 58 when she passed.
Oh wow, that is young. That's so young.
Yeah, she passed. Let me look at this again. She passed away in 2006 in Lake Forest Park, Washington.
Wow, was in Washington?
Yeah, she was born in California, Pasadena, California, but she died, passed away in Lake Forest Park. Yeah.
Interesting. Man.
Yeah, she was an icon. She was an icon.
Yeah, and it sounds like her works are really important.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Hailey, do you want to talk about your last author?
My last author is someone that I've literally been talking about for a long time. It's Lyla Sage.
Lyla Sage, yay!
I really just love her books. Like, period. That's it. No, I really love her writing style. I think that she kind of like revived the like Western style era, like romance. And at least that's how I feel, because I definitely like wasn't introduced to that Western stuff. Like I'd heard of, like, I obviously knew that it was a genre, I guess like a subgenre. And like I grew up in like the Western sphere, not like the literal Western sphere, but like the Western aesthetic and lifestyle.
Same.
So like and I started reading her books while we were in Illinois, and it was like reading, like, it was like I was like home again. Was like the best way that I could describe it, and it like brought back so many memories of like, because the town that I'm currently in and that I lived in prior to moving to Illinois, it's a pretty big like Western kind of atmosphere town, and we do like rodeos and all that fun stuff, which does kind of tend to be conservative, unfortunately, but I definitely can relate to that. Yeah. Well, and just like growing up in like Eastern Washington, like we're very like Wild Wild West out here. Not necessarily always in a good way, but there's a lot of that like influence in our like horses and ranches and farms and agriculture and that sort of thing. But yeah, so her books they're just so freaking good, and they're romances, obviously, and I don't know, I have nothing like bad to say, but they're so good and they're well written. They make you feel like you're like a part of what's happening in the book. She writes characters really well. She sets the scenes and creates romance really well between the characters. So I don't know, I have like, again, she's just like a really good author. I really love her books. I highly recommend getting her books, which I think there's now, or there will be 4 in the series, maybe even 5, I don't know, but her series is Rebel Blue Ranch. The last one is called Wild and Wrangled, and it doesn't come out until April 15th of this year, so we gotta wait like a few more weeks, like maybe a month. But yeah, so the first one is called Done and Dusted, the second one is Swift and Saddled, the third one is Lost and Lassoed. I also love alliteration. I'm a freaking sucker for alliteration. Give me it every time.
Yeah.
and I'm there. So
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I read Done and Dusted, and I echo everything you said. It was really good. I also grew up in like the Western vibe. Idaho's a very much Western-ish, like, you know, Republican, conservative, rodeo state. So grew up going to rodeos all the time, all that stuff. It definitely felt that way, but not in like a not good way. Like it's Western in a good way, not like, you know, in a bad way. And Done and Dusted was great. I also enjoyed the book. I never finished the series just because I kind of got out of my romance mood, and I'm a big mood reader, so got to be in the mood for it. But yeah, I really liked it. I'm definitely going to finish the series. I just haven't had a chance to get back into it yet. But yeah, it's great.
Hell yeah.
Big fan of Lyla Sage here.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Cody, what's your next or your last author?
My last one. My last one is an author that I don't think I've talked about maybe at all on the podcast, but she's also one that I pretty much auto buy her books when they come out. And that's Martha Wells. She is a fantastic sci-fi author. Her most famous series right now is the Murderbot Diaries, which is about this security robot who becomes sentient. And all he wants to do, or all they want to do, I should say, because the robot doesn't have any, you know, pronouns associated with it, has all that robot wants to do is to watch TV, and it wants to turn on its drama, wants to watch TV and not deal with humans. And I can relate with that. And it ends up interacting with humans in a fun way. And there's actually, I want to say 7 books in the series now. The first one's called All Systems Red. And they're actually novellas, so they're pretty easy to go through. I think there's 2 novels now, maybe. I haven't read the latest one, so I'm not entirely sure on it. But there's 1 novel for sure. There might be 2 now, but most of them are novellas, and they all evolve around Murderbot. The narrative's really fun. It's very silly, but also talks about what it's like to be human. You know, what does a sentient bot do? What does sentience mean? All that is kind of addressed in the series. So it's really impactful, but it's also just entertaining and fun. And I think Murderbot's hilarious because all it wants to do is just watch its favorite TV show. So it's really good. And Martha Wells has a lot of other books too. The Witch King series is very good as well. And she has quite a bit of other works, including a lot of short stories. And she's won quite a few sci-fi fantasy accolades. So if you have not read a book by her yet, I would highly recommend checking her out. And I think The Murderbot's a good place to start.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And what I love about her is she has won, I think, multiple Hugos and Nebulas for Murderbot Diaries. And because of how successful they are, she has now requested that they don't get nominated so that other authors can have their works highlighted. So I think that's very noble of her to step aside so that other authors can get their work highlighted as well. So I have a lot of respect for her.
I kind of love that she's like humble enough to be like, hey guys, like, can you stop giving me like, like, it's okay, you know, choose some other people.
Yes.
Like,
I do like that. As much as I love the series getting more awards, because like it's a great series and I love it.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't need to be the same author winning the same award every year, you know.
Yeah.
So
looks at Stephen King.
Yes. Goodreads Choice Awards. Please stop nominating Stephen King. We get it. Like, he's been horror for like the last 60 years. It's time to move on.
How old
time
is
to let
he?
that one go. Yeah. I think he's like 80. Like, he's up there.
Wow.
Yeah. Yay. Well, that is all of the authors that we've chosen to highlight for this year's Women's History Month. Of course, there's so many other ones out there.
So many.
Nydia Okorafor comes to mind. You have Kristina Forest on your list too, which I've also read a book by her, and she did amazing.
Love.
So yeah, there's so many women authors out there that deserve attention. So Goodreads has a great list. Any book place you go on is going to have a list. So go out and check out those books. Go find a history book about women's rights, or you know, something along those lines to really get in the spirit and to make sure that we're uplifting women in a time where women are being forced to suffer, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Yeah, women out there, go do your due diligence to speak up for each other. Even like trans women are women. Speak up, white women. I'm looking at you. If you don't, like, race fist, if you don't get your shit together.
Yeah.
From white woman to white woman, y'all need to. Ooh.
Let's not vote for shitty people anymore.
Let's get it together, girls.
Yeah.
Please, I beg.
Yes.
If you're not gonna get a cookie for voting against your best interest, you dumbass. Sorry.
That's true. That is true. That's very true.
I'm just saying.
Yep.
But
Well said.
like, thanks. Women's History Month should be Women's Year. Like, we need to do better. Always keep doing better. Always keep pushing for more. I feel like women really are, I think, especially recently, we've been kind of highlighting in history the times where women were like in the background, like upholding things. Especially like women POC. Just I have no words sometimes because I'm just like, what happened? Where did we go wrong?
Agree.
But
agree.
So uplift.
Maybe
Upload women today.
Upload a book too. Yeah.
Uplift women in your life. Go get like one of your best friends a treat or something, or like, I don't know, just say thank you for being a woman and doing the damn thing.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. And if you want to let us know who your favorite women authors are and to show us who you're uplifting for Women's History Month, you can email us, booksandbeespod@gmail.com. You can also message us on Instagram or tag us on Instagram at booksandthebeespod. So please tag us with the women authors that you're going to uplift during Women's History Month, because we want to see it and we want to interact with you. You can also appreciate Hailey by giving a 5-star review on your podcast listening app. That will make her month. So please go do that, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, a YouTube like would also work as well. So please give us that 5-star review because we appreciate it. And it'll be a nice gift to Hailey for Women's History Month.
Just me.
Just Hailey.
No one else.
No one else. And of course, we want to give a shout out to the American Indie for the use of their song Rendezvous. It's the intro and outro to a podcast. It's a bop. We love it. You can go check them out on Spotify. As always, their link is in the show notes.
Hell yeah.
Yay.
All right. Well, with that, we hope you enjoyed this literary journey as much as we did. If you're buzzing with excitement, don't forget to subscribe, email us, and leave a high 5-worthy review on your podcast listening app. Until next time, happy reading, and may your shelves be filled with tales as enchanting as a blooming garden. Keep the buzz alive, and we'll catch you in the next chapter. Bye for now.
Bye.